What up, y'all? We're here for our Thirsty Thursday romance reading. I hope you're doing well. I just got back from dinner with my sister and her wife and my nephew. We had a good time. Ooh, well, there's the vibe right there. Love yourself first is first card out for the week. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. Boo. I mean, yes, this is so true, but I know we're all like hoping for like, are we gonna meet someone soon card? Like, is there gonna be romance and frolicking and like your feelings are valid card? Is that card coming up? No, love yourself first week. I'd rather have this card than forgiving and learning, that's for sure. What an infuriating card that is. But yeah, so focusing on the self, we had this message come up recently where our love life is best served at the moment if we accept that all is well, that the person or the situation is taken care of. God has a plan. And so we need to stop over controlling and getting in like, I don't know, like getting our will and our agenda in the way, essentially. This reminds me of at work when I have a table, like for instance, okay, this is a good example. This is a good metaphor for how it feels to feel like you are actually having control over your love life and really you're just micromanaging the universe. So I had this table of women recently in the restaurant, and there is a certain demographic that has a level of panic that no other demographic has, and that is women in their like 60s to 70s who feel unease in their own skin, and so they feel like they have to like control everyone with their group, and they're like overly panicked that they're not going to find the group, and they're like very jumpy, and they won't let you come to them, and they won't let you say what you need to tell them everything to like get them, you know, put them at ease. They're just a nervous wreck. And so they're also the kind of people, they're the kind of women who at the table, they kind of won't let you, they won't sit there and relax and let you just wait on them. They're constantly trying to like help you by like handing you things, and then that causes things to fall and spill because you can do it better, right? It's just like, just sit still and let me lift your plates and your silverware in the timing and order that I need to. And so like by helping, they're making it worse. So I'm just trying to pour their waters, right? And these glasses that we have are like very narrow, and the carafes that we have these wide mouths. So it's already, and it's a shot in the dark. Literally, we have the darkest restaurants, like candlelight. So you're pouring waters, and these people are trying to like push their cup towards you just to be helpful. But you're like, just sit still. I'm spilling water everywhere because you're jumpy, and I have to aim for a very small target. And so then I have to open a bottle of champagne for them. And of course, if anyone else has ever poured champagne before, you know that like you pour it and it foams up. You have to wait for it to like settle, and then you pour a little bit more. So this is the song and dance with the champagne. And I'm just like, can y'all just let your glasses sit? It's just going to have to take a minute. I need to like, and they're like trying to pass them around. I didn't get enough. And I'm like, yes, I know. I wasn't finished pouring your glass before you were a nervous wreck and tried to control the situation. So a lot of times, brace yourself. This is going to be triggering. But when women are in that toxic, they're not in their feminine, like their healthy feminine energy, I just want to be like, bitch, sit down, look out the window, like chill, like enjoy the ride, like stop like being so frantic and just like chill and be at ease and be at peace. Peace be with you and unto you. Like, so I feel like this is us, like the universe, this is the universe telling us not to be the table of frantic women. Let me help you. For God's sake, I couldn't possibly have you go to the trouble to reach over and pour my glass of water. I couldn't receive. Can't relax, right? So we need to just relax, trust the universe, trust God, trust that the timing is going to be ideal when the things line up. And in the meantime, all we can do is love ourselves. And what does that look like, right? It's keeping promises to yourself. It's taking care of your immediate environment. It's making sure that your basic needs are covered. And then it's making sure that once you know that your basic needs are covered and you've got that level of security, then you can start providing comfort for yourself and treating yourself in ways that like feed your spirit and your heart and your soul. It's taking yourself out for a walk, getting yourself good groceries, making, healthy meals for yourself, doing things that you enjoy, getting out and pursuing your interests and your hobbies, right? And having fun with people who love you, who see you, who you can relax and have a good time with, right? So that's kind of all we have control over. We have control over our own healing and our own emotional education. We can learn how to have healthy relationships. We can learn what, are the components of creating healthy romantic chemistry. We can learn, good communication skills, and we can increase our faith. But ultimately, other than putting ourselves out there in the world and like being open and friendly looking and talking to people and, kind of being flirtatious, like there's not a lot more you can do. It's like you can make a dating profile, I guess. People have mixed results with those, but ultimately, essentially, you just kind of have to let go and have fun with that too and be relaxed about it. You can't be controlling. So in the meantime, it's best to not drive ourselves crazy and sit there and relax and let the universe pour our champagne, and all in good time. Everything is coming. And so the thing that will make us more attractive for literally people and the universe is if we get kind of lost in the present moment of life and be in a state of rest and fulfillment and bliss and inner peace. Right? And not be frantic in the meantime, trying to control everything. Also, I think too, one thing that helps with self-love and self-esteem is consistently showing up for the promises that you make yourself. If you want to, say, write a book, you're going to have to show up for at least an hour a day, every day, even if you're just staring at an empty page and you have no ideas and you don't write any words. But you have to keep showing up and keeping that promise to yourself. If you want to maintain any level of fitness, you have to show up for yourself pretty much every day in some capacity. And you can't rest on your laurels. I was all allergy ridden last week and just exhausted and just depleted, and I didn't work out for a week, and I can tell already. It's just very quickly, your body changes. So it's something that you have to be disciplined and you have to stick with it. It's the same with anything that's worth anything in this world or anything of value. Any promise you keep to yourself, it takes effort to even show up for the things that you want to do. I've been wanting to take some dance classes for I can't tell you how long, because I grew up taking dance classes and I miss taking dance classes. But as an adult, you have to find a time slot to make time for that in your week. And you have to allocate some money to that in your budget. And then you have to lose some sleep to get up early and have to go to the beginner's class when you work at night. So, I think that I imagine how satisfied and fulfilled I will be when I actually make myself go to this class. And it's something that sounds so much fun. I'm looking forward to it. And even then, it's I haven't made myself do it. So self-love is a discipline, and we learn how to love ourselves. And then when we learn how to love ourselves, it helps us help others how to know how to love us, as well. Religious factors. Your love life is influenced by your religious upbringing and spiritual path. So that is very true. And whether or not we share the same beliefs as our partner has an effect on our relationship. And even when I thought that it wouldn't matter because I'm very independent, right? So like my last serious relationship, I've usually dated guys who are agnostic, and not because I have sought them out. It's just that it was just the coincidence of the person that happened to be in my life that I met, who I was attracted to, and, who we formed a relationship. I've changed my mind about that, because where I am willing to like accept someone else and their beliefs, and they were always to me too, when it came time to decision making and big, like, uncertainty moments and values and things, that's where you're going to collide. And so that's where, like, I will hold out for someone who has beliefs that are in alignment with mine. They may not have to be exactly the same, but they need to be adjacent enough that this person is going to have the faith to lean into some absurdity sometimes when the guidance is leading us to go in a what seems like an illogical direction. It's very difficult to be a person with faith and be with a person who has no faith, because you're like getting guidance and you're like, okay, I can see what's coming here, or I can see this issue. I can get a 360 view around it because of my intuition. And I'm trying to troubleshoot ahead and get ahead of this. And like, they won't listen because they don't have the faith to accept where your instincts and guidance are coming from, even though the answer might be right and that solution is right, and you end up having to do it anyway, and they didn't listen to you. I call it Cassandra complex. There was a prophetess, a Greek prophetess named Cassandra, and she had the gift of prophecy, but her curse was that no one would ever listen to her. She could have solved so many problems. She could have stopped so many battles, so many wars, so many plagues, so much pestilence. She had the answer to all of these things and saw them coming a mile away. But like, no one would heed her warnings and no one would take her advice. And so she was just like, I don't know. The only thing that I relate to her, because this happens to me all the time, and it's so frustrating. And you just want to like you realize how people end up in a padded room because you have the urge to hit your head against the wall or the door because that is what your urge is. When people are around you, it's like, what's coming, and you can prevent it, and no one will take heed, and then you have to go through the crisis anyway because the other person refuses to like take the weather report and bring the umbrella every time. And so you're like, oh my gosh, this is why you need to share beliefs. And this is why, religious factors are an issue. Now, there could be conflict. Maybe there is someone who is out there who would consider you, but they're not sure about your beliefs. And this is going to be you for others as well. There are going to be people that you like and that you're attracted to, but you're like, are we compatible really in the long term? Do we have aligning values and aligning beliefs? Because if not, it's just gonna cause a lot of like extra problems. And even when you have two people who like really want to be together and they want to work on it and they want to do their best, it's like, even still, it's hard to see eye to eye a lot of the time. So there's still challenges and there's still, issues. So it's like you want to set yourself up for the best way you can. But yeah, maybe this is like, don't take something personally. If you were like, why didn't that person, why didn't it work out? Like, maybe it's just like, you just don't share the same ultimate beliefs. All right, so that's children. Okay, so I was almost wondering if this card would come out too. So, where you hit the most friction with not having the same beliefs as your partner is when children are involved. When you're raising children, you're like, okay, well, I want my children to have faith, and you don't want to encourage that. So when you have a split household, it's like, well, how do you, is that confusing for the children? Like, how do you raise them? Like, they'll ultimately decide for themselves. Children are very wise, but you do need to give them structure. You need to steer them in, a direction to give them a foundation, and then they can choose on their own, and they have to. But children are a factor. And so that could have to do with the fact that, like, say, for instance, you are considering dating someone who already has kids. And so they might be like, I don't know if our beliefs are going to match. I don't know if they're compatible with my kids, right? Or maybe these are things that you have to consider as you are going out and looking for a partner. Is like, if you're planning on having kids, a religious factor, like sharing your religious beliefs, is going to make for a much more functional, I think, family unit. Now, there are people out there who don't share the same beliefs, and they still have a successful relationship, and they still have a successful time at raising their kids. I think in some of those instances, though, it's because one person's faith is in one religion and the other person's faith is in another. But at that point, you still both have faith that there is a power greater than you. If one person is a believer and the other person isn't, then I think that causes more friction, because then one of the people in the relationship is made to feel invalidated and ridiculous, or both, and that's we don't want to make others feel that way, but it's easier when you're childless to live and let live. And but when you're rearing two souls here in this picture, when you're rearing souls and you're like, you have someone else's like skin on the line that you're fighting for, it may cause tension, it may cause friction, so it may be difficult in that regard. Another layer is coming up to this message to me, that people who had grown up in religious, like extreme religious environments, like maybe they were like super evangelical households that were obsessed with the end times. Like, there are a lot of kids that grew up in the 80s and 90s with super religious families who suffered literal religious trauma from it. And so they still have inner child issues that are triggered by religious factors, or like limiting beliefs or beliefs about relationships and love that were kind of leftover programming from their like extreme religious upbringing. And so now it's like, when we're loving ourselves first, going through all of this baggage, this stuff, doing the work, is sifting through these things and saying, okay, what are the fundamental core values that I do take from that and I still have and possess? And what parts of those were exaggerated and projected on me by like maybe zealots that were extreme? And so what can I take and leave? What is the wheat and what is the chaff that you throw away? So it's like getting to the root of that in the unconscious. What were the impressions about love and marriage that you were left with that maybe left a bad taste in your mouth, or an unconscious inner conflicting desire that made you reluctant to want to pursue serious relationship, or like you didn't fit into the mold of what you thought or what your parents told you that love and marriage and having kids had to look like? Maybe you are revolutionizing what that actually is for you and what domestic bliss and happiness looks like for you, right? Maybe you are trying to come back to some form of spiritual belief that was not this. It's different. It's set apart from what was prepackaged and handed to you, like some kind of timeshare. And you're like, wow, I really want my own relationship with God now, and with spirit, and with something that I can turn to and believe in. But I need to let go of what was projected on me in my childhood, and I need to find my own relationship as an adult. And so being able to heal that inner child who might be acting out, saying like, I don't want to listen, I don't want to go, I'm scared, that seems like harsh and scary, and like I'm going to be rejected and judged, and I don't want to do that. It's like you have to soothe the inner child and reparent them and bring them along in a way that you can show that inner child in you that it's not going to be like it was, and that person's projection of belief and faith isn't the ultimate truth. It was just their truth. So you can find your own, and you're safe to do that. And so that will help you rehabilitate and heal that inner child, so that inner child cannot live continuously in an emotionally stunted state. It's interesting because I was born in 83 and I'm 41, and so many of the men that are my age that I know are emotionally stunted, and they have commitment issues, and they have issues with marriage and religion and with kids. And they've been very like reluctant to settle down and very reluctant to commit. And they have like 5-year relationships, and they're all still single. And many of us women who are adjacent to these men are also still single because of this. And so for the longest time, I was like, wow, like, where do I belong in the dating world? Because the guys who are my age are jaded, and they're like, have all these hangups about love and marriage and relationship and beliefs and all this stuff. And so I thought, well, if we go any younger, they're going to be even more mature and more reluctant to settle down than the guys who should be well into their settling down age by now. And you know what? I got a job at this restaurant where I started meeting lots of guys that were in their 20s and 30s who are far more emotionally intelligent, and they don't have the baggage, and they don't have the hangups, and they see the value in finding someone early to build a life with, and they're not like obsessed with playing the field. They're just happy to be happy and find someone that they can feel they can bloom with and who accepts them. And so that has been incredibly like heartening for me, because I'm like, oh, well, this is great. This is like to date younger men, and that's awesome, because it's like, oh, it's not necessarily the age that's the issue. What I'm starting to believe is that it's the religious trauma that was kind of projected on us by evangelical parents, and parents that were coming out of being born in the 50s and 60s, who were sort of like raised in that toxic masculine and toxic feminine paradigms. And so those were the projections that were like cast on us. And it's just that some of us were rebellious enough to be like, nah, I'm going to do my own thing. Or some people didn't have, like, some people came from more reasonable households. But there is a huge chunk of the population that did grow up in that, like, evangelical movement that had very kind of extreme, like, family lives growing up, and a lot of tension at home and a lot of dysfunction. And so a lot of pressure around religion, without a lot of active self-transformation work. It was just like, oh, as long as we believe, it'll be done for us kind of thing. Instead of like taking an active role in their healing, they were just very passive and thought that if they believed in Jesus, everything would just get done, like, without their participation, kind of. So I think a lot of people were left with a bad taste in their mouth with the whole thing, with combinations of love, marriage, and having children. And so now we are having to unweave that and untangle all of that religious and like nuclear family baggage. Okay, well, this is a heavy one. Love and marriage, love and marriage. Do you guys remember Married with Children? Al Bundy. Okay. Let's get, here we go. So this is separation, honeymoon, and let go of control issues. So what I'm reading in this, separation, honeymoon, and let go of control issues. So separation, time from separation or time apart from your partner is on the horizon. This has come up for the last couple of weeks. And I think what this means for us singles is that we're separated right now from the person. That person may be circling the airport and waiting to land. They may be waiting for a gate to open. They might be waiting for something. But right now, we are in separation. I don't want to sound too twin flamey, but whoever that counterpart is for you to do the next leg of life with, like we're not currently with them. If you're watching this and you're in a relationship, maybe like space from your partner right now is what you need to do to enhance your relationship and like focus more on yourself and build interdependence rather than codependence. So maybe you like accepting the separation and time apart is the medicine of the day. But for us singles out there, especially with the let go of control issues, like love yourself first and like get your mind off of it. It's like, just be content with where you're at in this moment, knowing that the person for you may be very close by, but being anxious and worried and fearful about like, am I going to miss them? Like, am I in the right place? Am I in the right time? Like, what else do I need to be doing? Like, getting over anxious about it is not going to help. So relax in this moment, focus on loving yourself, build your own faith and your dreams and focus on the things that make you healthy and happy and joyous and light. And that's what makes you, an attractive person to pursue. Work on the things that are going to make you a valuable partner. And also get clear on what you find valuable in a partner and set that criteria and know your requirements and your deal breakers and your non-negotiables and know the difference between those and your preferences so that when you have potential suitors show up, you can give them an honest assessment and say, okay, you are going to be compatible or you are not. Let go of control issues. It's like, we can't micromanage this. This is what we started. The very first thing we started talking about in this reading was trying to control our love lives, and we just can't. Remember the ladies at the table, try to control every moment. Like, just sit still and let me pour your champagne, please, for the love of God. If I have to pull that same glass over again, I'm gonna bring it back over. Not finished pouring yet. I didn't get enough. Stop interrupting me. Just let me finish, right? Nuts. Drives you nuts. Drives the universe nuts too, because every time we try to get in the way, it's like the universe is spilling the champagne out on the table instead of getting it into the glass so we can enjoy it and celebrate, right? So be in the honeymoon. Be in that realm with yourself. Learn how to create this space for you in your heart and in your environment and in your atmosphere. And when you can create this honeymoon feeling for yourself within yourself, then you realize that you're not needy for another person to create this feeling for you. And then you can be a lot more choosy about who you decide to invest your blood, sweat, and tears into, because you know how to make yourself satisfied and blissful and happy. And then there's not a lot of pressure hanging over someone else. And then they feel happy and free because they have the ability to come and go, or not come and go, but they feel like they don't, like your absolute happiness and joy doesn't depend on them 100%. Like they can go off and pursue their own interests, and you'll be fine by yourself for a little while, and you can come together and it's healthy, and you can take time apart and that's healthy too. But just trust that if you are alone right now and you are not with a partner, that all is well, that you could be meeting someone very soon, but that will happen a lot sooner, or it will feel a lot faster and a lot more enjoyable if you're not trying to be frantic and controlling and micromanaging the universe. Just chill, get lost in life, having a good time, and follow your joy and your bliss, and hopefully you will cross paths with some hottie and a meet cute along the way. Let's just pull a couple of tarot cards for some clarification. I'm not going to pull one on every single card since we're already 30 minutes in. I feel like this has been a pretty deep reading. So the Sun card is out. This is joy, rebirth, renewal, replenishment. This is the light of a new day shining upon us. This is like the light coming out after a long period of like trial and challenge, right? This is the 19th major arcana card. So at this point, we've gone from 0 to 19. The last card is 21. So it's like being very far along through the hard part of the struggle. And now it's like you're gleaming from the insights and the awareness that you've just had after you faced your fears with the Moon card. And you face the unknown, and it's like now that you face that fear and the unknown, and you've had all of this revelation revealed to you, it's like, like I see it all so clearly now. I'm illuminated, I'm enlightened, I feel lighter, I feel reborn, I feel renewed, I have a new perspective. There's new joy, positive, like expect positive results, essentially. It's like good things are coming. Seeds well planted. Success of a venture. The Sun card is like all good things. It's like, yes, good, confirmation. I knew this card was going to come out. I saw it when I picked up the deck to originally shuffle it, and it just kept coming up. 9 of Swords. Darkest fears, right? On the other side of facing our darkest fears in the Moon card. This is the lower octave of that Moon card. This is 9 of Swords. The traditional artwork in the tarot depicts someone sitting up in the middle of the night in their bed, and they're like this. It's literally like a side profile of them like retching. They're just like, I'm so worried. I'm so nervous. I'm so fearful. I'm so anxious. Y'all know I've been talking about The Chosen. I've been watching The Chosen, and that's a series that they made. It's really well made. About Jesus as he's setting out in his ministry, and as he meets the disciples, and like how they all met, and how it was like taking that show on the road, and like basically going on tour, with his ministry. But oh shoot, what was my point? The nine of Swords. Oh yeah, in the Sermon on the Mount, the big first famous sermon that Jesus did, he says, don't be anxious about your life. Do not be fearful. Do not be anxious about your life. Like Jesus over and over again was trying to just convince people to stop being so anxious and worried, and to relax and to have faith. Like that's the redemption that he was trying to deliver to people, was what if we could just be at peace inside? And all the people that were like warring with each other over differing beliefs, he's just like, So this person is upset because they lost their contract with this person because of this belief. And so all these like different religions and groups had to work together for the economy, but then they were like all at each other's throats, and they were starting to lose their contracts and lose their businesses. And so Jesus was essentially trying to get them together and being like, so you all have the same agenda, and by working together, you'll all profit in your unity. But by your division and separateness, it's causing scarcity and fear and lack and doubt and separation. You're literally losing business. But if you were to come together and work together in a spirit of unity and brotherhood, then everyone profits, right? So that's the same. It's like our division, our fear, our scarcity, our, differences are causing us to live in scarcity and fear and lack and doubt. And we're not as abundant as we could be if we were in a state of unity and harmony, right? Well, same as within ourselves. If we are in a state of unity and harmony and oneness, it's like things will flow. We're in alignment with the Creator. We're in faith. At that point, the loaves multiply. We walk on water. Things just flow in our life. We are in harmony. But when we are divided inside and we are in separation and in scarcity and in fear and in lack and in doubt, that is when we start having chaos erupt, and we start having loss and toil and trouble. And so yeah, right now it's like the Creator saying, don't worry about your love life. Worrying about your love life creates friction and problems and scarcity in your love life. But instead, let go of these fears. They're irrational, unfounded fears. There's nothing to worry about but the fear itself that's keeping you up at night and causing you distress. Be at peace. The sun is shining. We are facing these fears. We are seeing that there's nothing to be afraid of, and good things are coming. Awakening and enlightenment and new experiences and new cycles. But we can't take those old fears with us, because then we'll project those fears and assumptions onto others and onto new people that may not have those hangups that other people have had in the past. So we can't make those assumptions because our old fears are making us paranoid. And then Two of Cups coming together. So don't be afraid. It's all coming together. Two of Cups is like-minded individuals. This is special friends, new friends, the deepening of bonds. This might be meeting a kindred spirit or a soulmate. It can be friends or romantic, but either way, this is developing relationships with people who will share an emotional resonance with you and an emotional bond, and it will be mutual. It's like a mutual bond, a mutual interest coming together. All right, you all. Well, I hope this week brings us something to smile about. For sure, we're going to be loving ourselves, and we're going to be kind of focused on that. And we're going to be at ease, not worried about if we are alone or in space from someone. We're going to be happy in our own company, and we're going to feel at peace and at ease. And our little challenge this week is that if any point we've got that 9 of Swords coming up, that temptation to be wringing our hands and anxious about our life, then just remember, Jesus told us, we have strict instructions from Jesus. Don't worry about your life. Don't be anxious about your life. Your life, God will help you take care of your life if that's where you put your energy. So don't be anxious about your life. Have faith. Faith the size of a mustard seed can move a mountain. It can do anything. But it's having that little mustard seed that's the tricky part. Because the ego usually comes in with that, just a watermelon seed of doubt. You're like, fuck, I just had my mustard seed of excitement, and then it got thwarted by that watermelon seed of doubt. But we just shift that channel right back. Just change the channel. You may not be able to choose your initial thought, but you can choose the follow-up thoughts. You can curate them. You can be like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and dwell on that thought. I'm going to keep turning the channel until I can find a good channel with kittens and puppies and babies and cute things that you can love, and you can focus on the positive. Now, I don't want to sound too spiritual bypassy there, but you know what I mean. If you're worried, you're feeling distress, and you have nightmares playing in your mind, try to redirect your mind to things that make your heart feel open and loving and grateful and appreciative. And sometimes it is simple things that can fill your heart with love. And it's best if they are, like being able to find wealth and beauty in simplicity is a power, and it is a treasure, because then you are full and satiated from very little. You can go out into the beauty of a nice day and come back feeling overflowing with abundance and joy without any care in the world or any need for anything. And you can go on a shopping spree and buy everything your heart desires and still feel like something is missing, right? So finding the beauty and the value in the simple is where it's at. And it's not that I don't find value and beauty in the elaborate and luxurious, because I do. But I can be very, very satisfied and very full without those things as well. I can find just as much luxury in the forest, like finding a really cool mushroom to take a picture of, as I can when I find, I don't know, some beautiful piece of clothing that I love as well. So I don't know, all of that felt a little all over the place, but I think it's all going to come together in the end. All right, y'all. Talk to you later.